I'm going to, without further ado, introduce our first guest speaker, which is Nathan Geering.
Okay. Pull this up. Hi, everybody. How you doing? You all good? Yeah? Great. Okay. Feel free to take a seat. The first part of the session is going to be just nice and chilled, and we're just going to have a bit of a chat. Am I right to come down here? The camera's still going to pick me up? Cool. Okay. I'll pull up a pew over here. My name's Nathan Geering. I am, I guess, an accessibility innovator, for want of a better word. The reason I've had to call myself that is because of the breadth of work that I do. There wasn't actually a job title that actually fitted what I did, but the one thing that was kind of like a thread through everything was accessibility and innovation. What I'm going to do with this talk is I'm going to tell you about kind of like what my journey was and how it informed, I guess, my teaching practice in terms of how I relate to young people and how I also relate to people from marginalized backgrounds, as well as all the accessibility work that I do. So I'll start when, I did a degree in psychology and a HAD in business marketing in Sheffield Hallam University many moons ago. And that's where I discovered breaking. And when I was at the university, bit of a naughty boy, not going to lie, but what happened was I realized that in order to get your mark, you didn't have to go to lectures, you only had to go to seminars. And I found that they just regurgitated the notes from the on the internet system in the lectures anyways. So I decided I'd go to the seminars to get my mark, but I would actually go and roll around on the floor and spin on my head in the studio. And that's what I did. But I got my degree, so I was savvy enough to get my degree. And at the end of my degree, I said to myself, for 1 month, I want to do what I love. Yeah. So I decided to just focus on breaking, just become a professional dancer, and do a lot of teaching community. Over 20 years, I'm still here doing what I love. Now, within that kind of context, so I started out doing a lot of work teaching in communities with community groups. And I worked underneath an old school breaker called MC Nige. He's like a local Sheffield celebrity, I guess, in terms of the hip hop community. And in terms of what I learned from him, more than the movement, I learned about how important it is to put the fire in the belly of the kids. How really important it is to really inspire the children and make things fun and relatable to them. So rather than just, pushing a certain syllabus on them or certain things in a certain way, you take a genuine interest in the kids, you find out what it is that makes them, that really inspires them and really excites them, and you kind of like utilize that as your way in, your starting point with them. Because when they have that level of familiarity, then it's actually much easier for you to start to cultivate a relationship with them. And then once you can cultivate a relationship successfully with them, they're much more open to actually taking information from you. So it was very much, I guess, a relationship-based approach that we took back then. So that was all good. And then I ended up doing a lot of professional dance performance, I guess you could say. I was based in Saddlewell Theatre for about a year or so. I did a show called Tag that toured around the country. I then went on to perform with Sonia Sabri Company, which is the traditional Kathak Indian dance company. We performed all over the world within that context. And then whilst I was doing that, I decided that I wanted to basically create my own theatre company based in Sheffield. And I thought about that there's loads of great artists in Sheffield, lots of young people that had a lot of skill and a lot of talent that were marginalised, that weren't ever given an opportunity to actually perform and do great work, or even to be recognised for the work that I did. So I set up this company, and we were lucky enough to sell out at the Crucible Theatre, and then we did a national tour. We actually sold out 2 nights here at the Norwich Playhouse, which was, obviously real good. Yep. Whoop, whoop. So that was cool, and we had a fantastic journey with our production. But all the way throughout doing that, we knew how important it was to really connect with communities and to do outreach work wherever it was that we go to. And obviously, hip hop was, seen as really cool with the kids and stuff. So, we had a good way in, I guess you could say. But it's more than that. Like, a lot of people don't really understand, why hip hop has been so popular with the kids. The reason is because it was created by kids, right? We have a saying in hip-hop, real recognizes real, yeah? And so what it is within that, because this art form was created by young people, from marginalized backgrounds who were disenfranchised and things, what happened was when you come along and you teach these elements, the energy is there, the ethos is there that the kids understand, that they relate to. And you can utilize, the art form as a vehicle to basically get across anything you want. And when I say anything, I mean absolutely anything. A lot of people, they don't realize the genius that is behind hip-hop culture. For example, like the time that kids are spending rolling around on the floor and spinning on their heads is time they can't be spending, hanging out at street corners, getting into trouble, fighting and things like that. The real ethos of hip-hop is not what the media is pushing. It's not about objectifying women. It's not about guns and drugs and all that rubbish. Real ethos of hip-hop is peace, love, unity, and having fun, right? And that's universal. That is something that, we can all get on board with, right? And so these are the principles that we teach young people wherever we go, in whatever form that may take, really. And yeah, so that was kind of like what ended up happening with, I guess, the first part of my journey. So like I said, connecting with community has always been a massive part of what it is that we do. And then fast forward to, say, about 2011, I want to say, 2012, something like that. So me and my company, we did a scratch night. For those of you that don't know what scratch night is, it's where a theatre company gets together and produces some works in progress and performs it to the audience, and then the audience give feedback. This particular night, we didn't have enough material. So what we did was we basically took this concept from this company called New Art Club that we'd seen do, and what they did was they got the audience to look at us and be stood in a position. We could then get them to close their eyes. When they open their eyes, we'd be in another position. And then when they close their eyes again, open their eyes, we'd be in another position, right? But we did that with a hip-hop twist. So 1 minute, we'd be stood upright, close our eyes. Next minute, we'd be down on one knee when they open their eyes. Next minute, we'd be upside down on one hand and stuff. So that gave a really profound impact to the audience. They were wow, oh my gosh, we've never experienced anything like this. So we decided that what we were going to do is we were going to really delve into that, because we got such a profound impact just from simply taking the audience's sight and bringing it back. So we're all right, cool, let's focus on visual impairment then. So really superficially, we're dancing around like a bunch of idiots in the studio with our eyes closed and stuff. And then my company member said to me, you do realize we can all become visually impaired at any point in our lives due to illness or injury, just washing your face or just waking up the next morning not being able to see. And it was at that point in time when it actually hit me, because I thought, well, if I was to wake up tomorrow and I couldn't see, at the time my daughter, she was about 2, and I couldn't see my 2-year-old daughter again. And that absolutely floored me. I wasn't emotionally prepared for that. I broke down. I didn't know what to do with myself. And how can I put this? I'm the type of person that if I'm afraid of something, I develop a curiosity about it, because I feel that it's an opportunity for me to grow, and it's an opportunity for me to learn something here. So what I then did was I went and started to do a lot of research with a lot of visual impairment departments in Doncaster, in Sheffield, and London. And I started to ask them a whole bunch of questions, obviously. So I went, again, like I do, go straight to the communities, ask them, what's going on. And, you know, I said, why is it a lot of people with visual impairment don't go to the theatre? They was like, well, we can't see the action. So I said, all right, what do you need in order to be able to see the action, those of you that are partially sighted? They're like, well, we need the dynamics to change quite abruptly from wide to narrow, from high to low. Now I was like, oh, breaking has that, you know, but obviously so does a whole bunch of other dance forms. And then they said, like, not with all visual impairments, but there's quite a few people with visual impairment that actually see better when you look down towards the floor. Where does most breaking happen? On the floor. So all of a sudden, I start to see an unlikely link between like hip hop and accessibility. Then I started to work with a visually impaired playwright called Kate O'Reilly. Now Kate, she sees the world in 2D, so she sees it like a flat picture. But she said when she watched my company dance live, she got an experience of what it's like to see in 3D. And she never had that with any other art form before, not ballet, not contemporary dance. And she says she thinks it's something to do with the axis of what we spin at when we do our power moves, but also the non-typical positions we put our bodies in. And she said she feels like it's doing something to her brain that gives her a kind of like a sense of depth and perspective that other art forms haven't been able to do. So all of a sudden I'm like, wow, okay, we really are onto something with this. And right now I'm partnered with a neuroscientist. He was based at the University of Sheffield. Now he's in Manchester, and we're going to be doing fMRI scans on people with visual impairment to look at hip-hop dance and accessibility. So there was that element. And then the other thing was, Kate said that, oh, well, you know, a lot of people a lot of people with visual impairment just find audio description quite boring and unimaginative. Now, that's not to diss conventional audio description because, you know, it helps so many people. But there's so many other people that just don't engage with it because it just wasn't engaging enough. So again, I turned to what I found, you know, most natural to me, which was hip hop. So again, I turned to my own kind of like culture and my own interests and thought, okay, because that's what I knew most about. So I was like, so how can certain elements of hip hop be used? I was like, okay, so what are the most vocal elements of hip hop? Okay, you have MCing, but you also have beatboxing. And then so what we did was we developed a new language called RM notation. And basically what it does is it utilizes the skills of beatboxers and poets to give a richer soundscape to people with visual impairment. So for example, what we did was we got a group of people with visual impairment to physicalize each sound effect a beatboxer makes. So if the majority of people with visual impairment were saying that zzz, represents a jump, we'll always use that for a jump. If represents a low spin, we'll always use that for a low spin. So because we made that in consultation with people with visual impairment, it's an intuitive language, basically. And so what we did was we created the Rationale Method of audio description. And we've audio described like, you know, anything from like, you know, dance pieces to regular theatre to like operas, right through to film. Like we've done it all basically. And just because, for example, it has a hip-hop root doesn't mean that the aesthetic, the end product, sounds hip-hop. So, for example, somebody's hand slicing through the air doesn't sound like somebody beatboxing, though, does it? Do you know what I mean? And that's why it can really transcend kind of like genres. We even utilize that to teach people with visual impairment as well to enhance movement comprehension. So, for example, another thing was I asked Kate, "What, do you know any visually impaired breakers?" And she thought it was going to be like when people say to her, "Oh, I can't find any visually impaired actors," and she comes and provides 20. But she says, "Nathan, I'm a member of so many disability arts organizations and advocate for so many groups, but I can't find a single one. In my lifetime, I only came across 2 visually impaired B-boys and B-girls." And so I was like, okay, well, if that's the case, I'm gonna make sure that we start teaching people with visual impairment this skill. But I was like, the reason for me to do this, it cannot be just because I want some people who can't see to dance in my show. So I was like, okay, what's breaking done for me? And I was like, okay, well, it's increased my spatial awareness. And also with breaking, we have an element called go downs, which is how it teaches you can go from standing to the floor in like really cool ways that just happen to be really safe. And so that was it. I was like, okay, so the reason I'm going to be teaching this is a means of injury prevention and to improve spatial awareness. And so we ended up teaching this initiative like right across the country. I mean, taught it like in places such as like the Royal Opera House. So we've gone all over the place. In fact, I'll show you a quick clip now from the feature. So I'll stop talking for a little bit, and you can just enjoy the clip.
Arms through the air, dipping and swooping across the space with balletic movement.
What you're hearing here is audio description, a way of bringing dance to people with visual impairment. But it has its limitations, especially with street dance. Known as breaking or b-boying, it's just too fast for words.
So the dancer stamps his arms from left to right, stamps his legs from left to right, and then swings his arms up and down.
You're defeated.
It's too tricky.
So Nathan here has come up with a new way of turning dance into sound.
How does it help?
So what it does, it creates a richer soundscape for people with visual impairment. Conventional audio description is pretty much done. The dancer lifts the arm, moves it to the side, they turn the head to the left, and that's pretty much it. With the sound effects that we use, we can audio describe a complex array of movement in a very short space of time.
I saw one movement, it was sort of like this. I mean, does that have a sound?
And it's a language that's fairly quick to pick up.
I think I get that. You know immediately what you're looking at, don't you?
Yeah.
And the sounds don't just help the audience follow the movements, it's also a tool in the dance studio, a place that is, for this group, a haven.
For me, as a visually impaired person, I walk with a cane, and people don't always recognise that in London. So there's kind of like collisions, there's miscommunication.
There's a freedom then in the dance studio.
Oh yes, definitely. In the dance studio, there's an open space. I know where I am. I know the size of the space. I walk the space prior to moving in it, and it's that familiarity that really helps.
And it's not just the freedom, it's also a workout for a non-visual sense of space and other people.
You can feel where people are.
I could sense.
So if I walk around you, you would know where I am.
I will know that I will know. I will know.
Drop to one knee and soar through the air.
Audio description for dance has completely revolutionised dance for visually impaired audiences. It's brought people in, and it's allowed people who've had late onset sight loss to re-engage with theatre and re-engage with dance.
So, even if you're never going to quite manage this new language of dance may at least help you appreciate those who can. David Sillito, BBC News.
When you get your...
Thanks. Cheers. So, yeah, so that was kind of like our initiative. Now, the pilot for that actually started with children. Like it was in Rotherham. Gosh, I think it must have been about 2015, 2016, something like that. And yeah, within a couple of sessions, we had kids in Rotherham doing like front somersaults into foam pits at gymnastic centres and things like that. You know, we had them upside down doing like handstands and stuff, as you saw like in that video. You had people even in their like, you know, 60s and 70s that we had upside down, you know, doing handstands and things. So again, it's really intergenerational, the work that we do with that. So that is kind of like another kind of like element in terms of the work that I did. Now, while I was doing that, I also developed a technique which I call the Rationale Method of creativity. Now, so within that context, when I was working with the visual impairment departments, they had these glasses that are called SimSpecs, and they give you like different experiences of different kinds of visual impairments. Now, SimSpecs, like, there's kind of like a mixed review on those in the sense that, yeah, they give you experiences of different types of sight loss, but also, like, they don't give every kind of experience. Like, for example, not everybody has 20/20 vision, and all of a sudden, bam, they can't see too well, you know. For some people, it's a very gradual thing, you know. So that's why that for what they're used for, they only go, the effectiveness only goes so far. So again, me being hip hop, I was like, well, let me remix the use of this, yeah? So what I did with it was I utilized the different visions as different unique creative starting points for making art and creativity. And the reason for that is, like, the majority of the world that we take in is through 2020 vision, you know. Through our vision, you know, we take in a lot of the world. And because of that, it influences us so much. But because of that, there's so many things that we overlook, you know. But if you, for example, alter your vision in some ways, it gives you the opportunity and the space to actually focus on things that normally you wouldn't focus on. And so within doing that, you actually have an opportunity then to really go deep and focus on things and find new forms of creativity in things that you never would have found before in things. You know, so for example, like if you have some glasses that have like tunnel vision, like a small dot, and all you can see is a small dot and you can't see anything around the edges, it gives you the chance to really focus in on finer details. And then the opposite for macular degeneration, there's a big dot in the center that you can't see, but you can see around the periphery. It really gives you the opportunity to focus on, you know, your artistic or creative practice from a different perspective. But not only that, with those glasses, you know, with every, with the sessions that I run with them, we really get you to pay attention to the emotions that you're feeling, you know, while you're going through the process. And, you know, with being able to connect with your emotions and things in a way that you normally wouldn't, again, it allows space for creativity that you, again, normally probably wouldn't, you know, encounter. So within that kind of context, I created the Rationale Method for creativity. And not only that, it actually has gone on from that to even enhance productivity with business and work, you know. People think about different learning styles, but do we really think about people's different visual styles of working? You know, if somebody's got tunnel vision, like in terms of their working style, what does that mean? Could it mean, oh, maybe they can only pay attention to one thing at a time while they focus on the smaller details? If somebody has macular degeneration in terms of their visual style of learning, does that mean that, oh, actually they can't focus on the smaller details, but they're very good at strategic stuff? And then, so from there, you could then go back and look at, okay, right, so who in my team has what kind of qualities? And then you would assign tasks based on that. So yeah, that's kind of like how we utilize the Rationale Method of creativity to really open up people's awareness to different ways of working, thinking, being, and being creative. So Rationale Method is one of the companies that I run. It's doing its thing. It's cool. It's doing great stuff. And then you also have, I used to also work as a creative mentor for young people in care for looked after children. And again, while I was working for Derbyshire County Council's virtual school while doing that. And again, while doing that, they kind of like, I was like the last chance saloon guy, you know. They'd send me in when like other practitioners just couldn't like quite connect with the young people. So I'd go in and I'd connect with them on the level, again, using my starting point in terms of, okay, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I do, because some of the kids, you wouldn't be able to engage, they're just like, whatever. Do you want to do something? No, I don't want to do nothing, you know? I'm sure we've all come across kids like that. So I'd say, okay, right, well, this is what I'm passionate about, and I'd show them kind of like my skill set, and obviously because I can spin on my head and do all that stuff, they'd be like, oh, whoa, whatever. But then I'd say, okay, but that's what I'm passionate about. Let's find what you're passionate about. You know, what are you passionate about? You know, really take a genuine interest in these kids. That was kind of like my whole approach. And if they didn't know what they were passionate about, I was like, well, let's just try a whole bunch of stuff until something sticks. And sometimes, you know, that was what was needed. It was a case of just having that kind of like consistency and stability of somebody being there. No matter what different things you try, that same person, that anchor, is always there to kind of like, you know, be that support mechanism for them to make sure, well, it's okay, and I don't know what I'm doing here neither, but let's do it together. Do you know what I mean? And seeing that kind of like vulnerability, you know, I think it really helped. I remember there was this one young kid, oh gosh, this was actually my first young person I worked with, and they said to me, oh, I'm going abseiling. And I was like, you won't catch me doing that. And they're like, why? And I was like, let's just say me and Heights ain't friends. And they were like, all right. we're going to go abseiling. I was like, whatever. 2 weeks later, I'm going abseiling with this kid, yeah? She's like about 11, 12 years old. And she basically, we abseiling. And like, she's like, right, you go first. So I was like, I'm going first. And I'm going down. And then I look up, and all I see is this kid holding onto my rope, right? This 12-year-old kid. Now, in hindsight, like, I'm sure there was, like, you know, an abseiling instructor behind them holding the rope as well. But in my mind, I'm like, this kid's holding my rope. It's, you know, I've literally got my life in this kid's hands, right? And that is when it kind of, like, hit me. I was like, as, like, professionals and practitioners, especially when we're working with, you know, young people, we expect them to trust us, you know? But when do we ever really put ourselves in position when we have to trust them? You know, and that is when it really hit me. And so from that point, I was just like, yo, let's just go with it. And yeah, had an incredible time with her and stuff. And obviously I didn't die, I'm still here. So, you know, it worked out for me, yeah? And, you know, that was kind of like a real big turning point in terms of, you know, my practice, in terms of really making sure that wherever possible, I'd be able to put myself in positions where I would have to trust them, and they would know that I would have to trust them as well. And that really kind of like helped the relationship, along with a lot of the young people that I was working with. I met so many kids that just inspired the living daylights out of me doing that. And so I ended up creating a big theatrical production called Trust in Care. And with that show, what we did was we got young people in care to be our artistic consultants. So basically, we do some artistic activities with them, and then we'd say, okay, right, this is a scene that we've created based on that. What do you think? And they'd be like, that's bullshit. We don't feel like that. Or we're like, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And so based on what their feedback was, they were the parts that made it into the show, and the other parts that they weren't feeling didn't make it into the show. So they literally were like steering like the show. You know, we offered training in terms of, you know, being like a director, being a choreographer, being a sound technician, being a lighting technician. We had, like, you know, one young person in care who's a blind trans breaker was our main star. We actually used audio description in our unique way, and what we did with our form of audio description was we made sure that everybody heard it through the speakers. Now, normally, audio description is heard through headsets. But we were like, forget that now, man. We're having this for everybody to hear. So we put that through the speakers. And within doing that, what a lot of people didn't realize was they were about to see the genius of what audio description can be. And so, for example, it meant that our blind performer could actually use the audio description as a form of navigation. So, for example, we had a live audio describer, and when our performer felt like they were disorientated, because obviously they didn't want to fall off the stage, they'd do a certain movement, and our audio describer would clock what that movement was, and they would say, Robin reaches to the left for her T-shirt. From her doing that, she would know which way front is again. And so, again, we were able to utilize the form of accessibility, not only for audience members, but also for performers, for it to enhance access for them to actually be able to perform in a safe manner. Yeah, the Trust and Care experience was absolutely incredible. We're actually looking to tour it next year and things. And when we tour it, what we want to do is we want to take young people in care on tour with us. And we wanted to, you know, train them up again to be like directors, choreographers, actors, like sound technicians and light technicians. And on day one, they'll be the assistants. And then on day two of the performance, they'll be running things, and we'll just be just in the wings, just like there. If we need to come on board and help sort out a disaster, we'll do that, but they'll be running things. And the reason we want to do that is because we want to give them an actual lived experience of a pathway into the arts, because not many young people get that. You know, they don't get, okay, you know, what does a career in the arts feel like? Not just what it looks like or theoretically what it should be like, but what does it feel like? Whereas with this kind of, you know, initiative, they'll fully, you know, get that feeling. And actually, so the performer that I mentioned, they were Crispin, and now they are Robin. They went on, within a year of learning dance, they went on to appear on BBC Strictly It Takes Two, like on national TV, like absolutely smashing it. I I've got another clip for you right here, so you can see what they've achieved. So this is back when they were Crispin.
My name is Crispin. I'm 16 years old and I am visually impaired. I lost sight in one eye at 4 months, and then I was completely blind by the age of 6 due to a condition called glaucoma aniridia, which is hereditary. I met Nathan in May of 2019 as a creative mentor, and he was like, I'm teaching a breakdance class for visually impaired people in a couple of hours, do you want to come along? Point out, I was absolutely adamant that I weren't going to do it. I did not want to dance at all.
With a little bit of gentle persuasion, 6 months worth of it, it ended up him taking this journey into the world of dance, and he hasn't looked back ever since.
I used to be really shy. I remember when I first met you, I barely spoke. But obviously through all the performances and stuff, then I've had to talk to people. Like on that first performance, everyone wanted to talk to me afterwards.
Yeah, that's because they were blown away by all the incredible stuff that you were doing. A year ago, Crispin hated dance. You wouldn't even have got him on the dance floor or attending the dance class or anything. And so to go from that to performing in front of like hundreds of people is just amazing.
When you're in that moment and everyone's encouraging you to carry on, you just don't want to stop. You just want to keep going forever. And even though I'm like so tired, so happy, and like, it's just great. Buzzing.
When I became a father, I thought, what if I was to wake up tomorrow and I couldn't see my baby girl? And I wasn't emotionally prepared for that, if I'm honest. I decided to utilize the thing that made me afraid to help empower people with disabilities to have happy and fulfilling lives. Right, Chris, we're going to hit you up with a knee spin, bro. Start off slowly and gradually get faster. So I've been teaching people with visual impairment for about 8 years now. Spin, arms out nice and wide. And we've developed a way to teach people how to fall safely, but also how to improve their spatial awareness. Spin, spin, spin. I developed a special technique called the Rationale Method. And within that, we have certain sound effects that correspond to certain movements. Kick, cross, corkscrew down, 12-step. Because it's one thing to describe a movement with just words, but, you know, words, they can't give you a fuller picture, whereas a sound effect, you can get an idea of speed, angle, and trajectory all at once. And down.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, player. Go! So since I started the breakdance, I've probably been a lot happier, to be fair, because when I'm doing the dance, then you could just like forget about anything that's going on, any stress or worries or whatever, and just enjoy the moment.
You know, the fact that you doing this, you know, makes you feel happier within yourself. For me, it's, you know, it's more than words can express, if I'm honest. But yeah, I've got to say I'm really proud of everything you've achieved so far. Big respect, Crispin.
When people hear my story, I'd hope that they'd be inspired to take up dancing. If people want to start breakdance but they're not sure about like how to do it, or if they're scared of falling, then just put that fear behind you, try it and have fun.
Yeah, boy, all right, you got it.
No, we're easy.
Oh, was it now?
Yeah, of course it was.
All right then, well, I want to work you hard next time, boy.
We'll see.
So yeah, and they're still doing their thing. They actually say, I'm teaching them windmills at the moment, and they say when they learn windmills, I've got to do a skydive with them. And like I said, me and Heights ain't friends, right? So this is going to be me putting myself totally in their trust. So we'll see how that one pans out. I'll keep you all posted on that. But yeah, so from there, I think as you start to see, everything that I do is starting to have like that a certain thread, you know, in terms of like accessibility and things, you know, but also like I've utilized my practice in different ways, but it all comes down to the same thing, which is innovation and accessibility. So I also run a registered charity called Rationale Arts, and that is where we teach the injury prevention course for blind and partially sighted people. Other things we do with that is we work at children's hospitals. So, for example, we've been working with Sheffield Children's Hospital, and we've been doing hip-hop rehabilitation. Okay, what's that? Right, well, I'm going to tell you what hip-hop rehabilitation is. So basically, we work with physiotherapists, and we find out what are the exercises that they're wanting to certain patients to do. And so we just find a hip-hop dance equivalent to those moves, to those exercises, and we teach them that. And what we found is, because it's much more engaging, the rehabilitation time is much quicker. Not only that, the kids have a much more pleasant and joyous stay in the hospitals, and also there's a stronger relationship between families in the hospitals when they kind of experience this, because the whole family ends up getting involved. We treat kids with leukemia, brittle bone disease, traumatic brain injury, like anything and everything really. We've done like some real great work with the Children's Hospital. So that's kind of like one initiative that we've run. Another thing is I worked with a cognitive behavioral therapist. Remember I said I did a degree in psychology way back? Yeah? Well, this is where it comes in. It has obviously subtly, but this is where it blatantly comes into play now. So I worked with a cognitive behavioral therapist, and we developed a way to treat depression, anxiety, and PTSD through hip-hop dance, and beatboxing, and flow arts. Now, what's beatboxing got to do with mental health? Yeah? Beatboxing is just the same as meditation. Meditation is just controlled breathing. Beatboxing, controlled breathing. Yeah? So I'll give you an example. So when we were working at Children's Hospital, there was a young girl, and she was having a cannula put into her hand. And I think they'd hit a valve or something, and they didn't quite do it right. And she was in a lot of pain. She was crying. She was screaming. And he said to her, okay, well, let's just focus on the beatboxing techniques that you've been doing. Within 2 minutes, she was laughing. She was joking. She forgot she was even in pain. So, we were able to, help her out with like distress tolerance and emotional regulation just by doing beatboxing technique, i.e. getting her to control her breath. Normally, if you say to kids meditation and mindfulness, they'll be like, oh, yeah, that's all that kind of stuff, and that's a bit boring. You say to them beatboxing, oh, that's pretty cool. They don't think of it as like, something that actually can be used in a very therapeutic way. But yes, this is, again, the hidden genius of hip-hop that a lot of people don't realize. So, yeah, so within the sessions that we do, we utilize, like I say, flow arts, circus skills, hip-hop arts such as like breaking, popping, locking, and beatboxing to help treat kids with depression, anxiety, and PTSD. And that can be, obviously because we came out of the pandemic, our kids' mental health took a massive hit, right? And so, when we've been, teaching this stuff to kids, like in schools as well as like in youth groups, like the results have been like absolutely incredible. And like what I want to push for is to try and get it into like doctors' waiting surgeries and ER and stuff where, it's just a video where people can literally just do seated movements where they're just literally just practicing, just basic dance movements, but they're not having to get up and spin around on their heads or anything like that, or just basic beatboxing techniques that they can do really subtly. So that's kind of like the trajectory of where we're going to end up. But like I say, as for now, we're working in a lot of community settings in terms of schools and youth groups in the Yorkshire area at the moment. But we're going to spread that out all over the country as well. So that's kind of like another thing that we do within that kind of context. There's so much I could talk about, but I'm just going to say one more thing, and then I'll get us up and moving because I've been jabbing away so much. So I was the artistic director of the Special Olympics opening ceremony in 2017. Now, I thought my journey into like, I guess, disability arts started, like I said, probably about 11, 12 years ago. I was wrong, because I was actually teaching in SEND schools up in the Sheffield area from as soon as I got out of university. But I didn't kind of like identify as, I'm teaching disability arts. I was just like, I'm just teaching kids. That's it. It was only until I started doing all the VI work that I was like, oh my gosh, I've actually been doing this kind of like all my life. Also with the sound effects, where that come from is actually even predates my hip hop journey. So as a kid, I used to watch old school kung fu movies. So you have sound effects for the movements, right? Now, as I was falling asleep as a kid, I could still picture the movements. So I've been naturally training myself to do this stuff all my life. I just never realized. And this is, what I kind of want to get home, really hit home with all of you here. It's like, think about what things that you're passionate about? What are the things that you're passionate about? What are the things that really resonate with you? And how can they be utilized in a way that can really help benefit others? It's not about imposing your interests on other people, but it's about, okay, how can you take, you know, the ethos and energy for what it is that you're doing, and how can you apply that to people to really help them, to really help bring out the best in them, okay? So when I was artistic director of Special Olympics, I designed a creative brief. And that's because, like, a lot of people feel that people with neurological differences, like, they have really low expectations of them, yeah? And I was like, yo, we need to raise them expectations. So instead of us just doing regular events, I put us in an arena of super events. So for example, you wouldn't just see like a long jump, you see someone going for the longest front somersault on power stilts. You know, you wouldn't just see like a relay race, you'd see like a parkour relay race and things like that. You know, we had kids with autism doing a relay DJing the whole 2.5-hour procession. We had, you know, groups that were kind of like just paired up. So we had disabled and non-disabled groups paired together. But I said to all the choreographers that from the non-disabled groups, I go, you're not allowed to impose your choreography on them. I was like, what you need to do is you need to look at what it is that they can already do, what they're passionate about, and then from there, take it from there and work with them to create something truly great that you can both co-own, rather than just coming in and being like, okay, this is what I want us to do and this is what we're going to do. And, you know, we had, like, for example, like pole dancers working with an autistic drum line. You know, we had kids with Down syndrome working with, you know, like contemporary dancers. We had like circus performers, you know, working with kids with Asperger's, you know, the whole shebang. And yeah, it was just an incredible event. But again, because of everything that happened before, it really shaped how I approached being the artistic director of that event. I mean, I was choreographing for, I think it was like 2,500 disabled athletes, and then over 200 odd disabled performers in front of a stadium crowd of like 16,000 people. And they absolutely smashed it. But don't take my word for it. Check it out. Okay, so I've done far too much talking now, so I think for the last like 10, 15 minutes, let's get us up and moving a little bit, yeah? So if everybody likes to come and find a space. Okay, all right. And again, with all the movements that I'm teaching you all here, if you find any of them too difficult, find your own equivalent. Like if it hurts you to move your arms, move your legs instead. If it hurts you to move your shoulder, move the other shoulder, or find another move that represents the energy of the movement. It's not really about getting the movement right. It's about just reflecting that energy in whatever way resonates and works with you. Does that make sense? Yeah? So this is your dance, yeah? This is me teaching you some stuff, but this is you lot taking it as your own. Okay. DJ, can you drop a beat for us, please? Any beat? Let's go. Okay. So all we're gonna do, yeah, is we're gonna step our right foot in front of our left and open our arms out like we're giving someone a hug. And then come back to the center. Yeah? So we do that again. And come back to the center. Yeah? One more time. Good. And then we're gonna do the same. Now this time our left leg goes over to the right. And come back to the center. One more time. Okay, so we're just going to go to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left, yeah? So we're going to start to the right side first. 5, 6, 7, 8. Front, middle, front, middle, front, middle, front, middle. Good. One more time. 5, 6, 7, go. Right, middle, left, middle, right, middle, left, middle. Yeah? Easy, right? Okay. So, again, if you want to get creative with it, instead of doing your legs, you can put one arm in and go from side to side like that. If you prefer to do that, you can tilt your head with it. Anything you like, yeah? So really make it your own, play with it, any way you want now, okay? You can comb your hair, brush your teeth, whatever you like. 5, 6, 7, and front, middle, front, middle, front, middle, front, middle. Good, good, good. So now we're going to do the same to the back now, yeah? So this time our right leg steps behind us, and we lean forwards, and we swing our arms behind us like we're taking a bow. Yeah, so go back, middle, then to the other side. Back, middle, and then again, back, middle, back, middle. Again, with your arms, you can do it with your arms instead. Back, middle, middle. You can do it like that as well, or just tilt your head back, rock back and forwards with it. It's fine. Whatever style you want to do. Ready? 5, 6, 7, and back, middle, back, middle, back, middle, back, middle. Good, good, good. Okay, so we're just going to do 2 steps to the front, 2 steps to the back. Okay, so we're just going to go front, middle, back, middle, back, middle. Yeah? So one more time slowly. 5, 6, 7, and front, middle, back, middle, back, middle. Okay? So now, anything you like with your arms now, yeah? So like I say, you can comb your hair with it, brush your teeth, you know, put a bit of sass in it. Anything you like, yeah? Really vibe with it, have fun with it, yeah? Okay, let's try it. 5, 6, 7, go. Front, middle, back, middle. Wicked. Now to finish it off, we're gonna do a little bit of a spin. So we're gonna turn and be fricka fresh. Yeah? Okay, cool. So we'll try that spin again. One more time. 1, 2, 3, spin and be fricka fresh. Cool, cool. If you don't want to spin your body, you can just use your hands and just spin them around in a circle like that. That can represent your spin if you want that. Your head can represent your spin. Anything you like, okay? One more time with the spin. 1, 2, 3, spin. And be fricka fresh. Awesome, awesome. Okay. So, let's do the whole thing from the beginning. So, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, hit the spin, get it fresh, okay? 5, 6, 7, and front, middle, back, middle, spin, and be fricka fresh. Yeah, that's right. Okay, good. Okay, one more time. 5, 6, 7, let's go. Front, middle, back, middle, spin, and be fresh. Give yourselves a round of applause. Good, good, good. Okay, turn it down a little bit. Okay, so that's one way of developing technique and movement, having somebody just tell you what to do and then you remix it. Okay, another way is actually, how about if I give you a name of a move and then you come up with your own interpretation of what that move is. So it can be anything, yeah? So I'll tell you what, the first word I'm going to give you is jellyfish. All right, so you got to come up with your own dance move, your own jellyfish dance move, okay? So I'll give you like 30 seconds to come up with your jellyfish. That's going to be your signature jellyfish, yeah? Okay, hit it for me, DJ. Give me another track, give me another track. Okay. Give me that jellyfish, peeps, okay? That's it, your own version, let's go. What does a jellyfish feel like? Awesome. Good, yeah, seeing some awesome jellyfishes out there. Nice, 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 nice. Okay, good, all right, stop. Okay, so that's your jellyfish. You got your jellyfish, yeah? Okay, right. So the next one we're going to give you is an orbital. What is an orbital? What is it? Let's figure it out. Hit it, DJ. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay, stop. Right. So you've got your orbital now, yeah? Y'all remember your orbital? And y'all remember your jellyfish, right? Okay, so you got your jellyfish and you got your orbital. All right. So now let's have a stop and go. What does a stop and go look like? Hit it, DJ. Stop and go. Okay, yep, cool. Okay, so we've all got our stop and goes, yeah? Okay, so let's have a quick recap. Show me your jellyfish. Good. Show me your orbital. Show me your stop and go. Okay, good, 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 good. All right, so the last word I'm going to give you is a sidewind. What's a sidewind? Yep, that's a great sidewind. What's a sidewind? Let's go. And stop there. Okay, so you all got your sidewinds now, yeah? Okay, so now what I want you to do is I want you to put all those moves together in whatever order you want, okay? So you got your jellyfish, you got your stop and go, you got your orbital, you got your sidewinds, yeah? So just have fun with it, just have a bit of play. We're just gonna have 1 minute of you just grooving out, showing off your moves, okay? Hit it, DJ, let's go. stop there. Okay, awesome. Give yourselves a round of applause. You've all done amazing. So there, what's just happened is you lot have just come up with those movements yourself, yeah? It's your own creativity. Not two people look the same when they were doing their movements there. So this is about you, like, really being able to delve into your authentic self and finding out what you want things to be, you know, what feels good inside for you, you know, and that can transcend to any art form, yeah? Really thinking about, okay, what does my art form mean to me? What does this aspect of my art form mean to me? How do I want to interpret that? What feels good? What feels right? What do I want to express, you know? So that was just a very brief example of how you can go about really tapping into your creativity in probably a non-typical way. To finish things off, what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to get us to breathe with me. So we're going to breathe in through our nose, and as we do that, we're going to inflate our tummies. So our tummies pushes out as we inhale through our nose. So, and then when we exhale, we breathe out through our mouths, and our tummy deflates first. Then our chest, and our mouth. Okay, so again, breathe in. And out. And again, breathe in. And out. Okay, so now this time, you're going to do the same moves as me. So you're going to cross your wrist in front of your chest. You're going to breathe in. Breathe out slow. Breathe in. Fold your arms. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Yeah? Good. Okay, again. So cross your arms. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And a little bit quicker. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out slow. And last time. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. And out slow. Give yourselves a round of applause. It's all been amazing. Thank you so much.